Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome back to this episode of What's Next, Friend? So, first up, what's next? I have officially moved to Chicago. So, yes, I have officially been in Chicago for 48 hours. I got here Saturday, the 1st of August, around 1 or 2. And today is Monday, the 3rd of August. And I am checking out the Four Seasons Hotel. So, backstory, I try to stay at a very nice hotel if I can, if there's one in the city that I move in. Tradition started when I got to DC, working at the Pentagon. I stayed at the Four Seasons there in Washington, D.C. My first few nights in the city, I stayed there. And then when I went to Colorado, after DC, I stayed at the Flying Horse Resort, which is a nice place there in, I don't think I want all of it up, which is a nice place there in Colorado Springs. They had a cute little resort. I stayed there for my first 2-3 nights when I got back to Colorado after being stationed at the Pentagon. So that's why I am here, one of those active duty traditions that I wanted to try to keep. I love Chicago, and I actually stayed here before for Mother's Day. I think it was in 2021 or 2022. Jasmine booked us a suite here with a spa for Mother's Day that year, so I stayed here then. So that's where I am now. I'm in Chicago in the Four Seasons, and I'm filming my Peterson Part I video while I do my skincare and get ready for the day. Okay, so after my second stint at Langley, I was told, you need to get back. This is career military rise. You need to get back to the mothership as a space officer. You need to be in Colorado, somewhere in Peterson, somewhere in Building 1, the dreaded Building 1. And I was like, I'm not doing that. I don't want to do that, so I'm not doing it. But a friend of mine was stationed at Peterson, but he was testing. He was an Afotech. And he was like, hey, you can come and be close to the mothership. And this is my moisturizer cream, if anybody is interested. He said, you can go to, you can come here, you'll be at Peterson, and you'll be testing space systems, and you'll be in like the super secret squirrel world where you'll have a different testing process, and you won't necessarily have to go through a lot of the other things that are like the unclassified systems have to go through. It'll be a lot easier. You'll likely get to do tests. And so backstory with Afotech and testing, a lot of times you'll be in the testing world and you will not actually get to ever execute a test because you'll be going through all the planning processes to get to the test. But because it was super secret squirrel, we were able to kind of get through that process a little bit quicker and was able to actually execute some tests. He said it would be great, you should come on through. And so I did. So I get to Peterson Air Force Base in, was it April of 2016? And my friend Nia, my girl, my ride or die, my friend since I was a BLT in 2002, she lives there, had a beautiful home made there, like huge home. And she was like, girl, just come stay with me. Before you don't have to rush in trying to find a place, because this was the first assignment that I had where I was doing it solo, empty nester. I didn't have to worry about schools. I didn't have to worry about what kind of house I had. I didn't have to worry about any of that stuff. I didn't have to worry about it, right? I see that now in hindsight, because what did I do when I get there? I rented like a 5-bedroom house because in my mind, I'm still a mom, Jazz may come home and this, and this. And so I got there in April and I stayed with Nia until like June or July. I'm looking for a fan, y'all. because I'm sweating and menopause. Anyway, so I get there in April, and I stay with Nia until about June or July, when I moved like down the street from her. She lives in a palatial estate, but I got a like truly suburban 5-bedroom, 2-bedroom. Well, no, I think it was 2, 3. No, it was a 3-bedroom house with a basement, unfinished, and a 2-car garage. Because, I'm still a mom in my mind. And so I get that. That's my first place there. I'm working in Afotech, like I said, as a test director in a super secret squirrel, SAP, special access programs. And my first assignment, not in mommy mode. So I get to Colorado thinking, I'm going to find me a lumberjack. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And I get on, not Match, Bumble. What was it? I started on a dating site. It wasn't Hinge and it wasn't Match. There was another, I can't think of it, a dating site that I got on immediately because I was like, I'm going on dates. And Nia's like, okay, slow your roll. So what was happening is I would go on these dates and Nia would like come to the place incognito to make sure I was safe and nothing happened to me on these dates. And that was kind of my MO. I would get there, I would go on dates, and I would do this and do that and try to meet people or whatever. And Nia was my backup, which was so typical Nia to do. So that was fun. Also, Nia, where we lived, was really, really close to Denver, so we did a lot of things in Denver. As a matter of fact, when I first got there, we went to this restaurant. We had this restaurant that we wanted to go to, like my first weekend there. And wouldn't you know, there was a downpour. Oh, this is a sunscreen, by the way, if anybody's interested. Beep. It was a downpour, like, snow in April, and we were risking it all to go to a damn restaurant. I tell you what, me and my friend Nia, the things we get ourselves into. So yeah, that was my first time being stationed in Colorado. I had training there before, so I kind of knew a little bit about the area because I had 2 different training sessions there where I was there for like 4 weeks at a time, 5 weeks at a time. So I kind of knew the area. But yeah, first time actually being assigned there. Another professional thing about getting assigned there, when I got there in April, and I found out that I had made lieutenant colonel within like 2 months of being there. Interesting thing about making that rank. So before I had left Langley, I had a meeting with my senior rater. And they were explaining, because I did not get a definite promote for lieutenant colonel. And so, but I was in the running. Like, I was one of the people that they took to the MLR to compete for a DP. There's a whole thing about promotions and officer promotions in the Air Force and MLR, management level review, and definite promote, all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to go into that. Just know that they did not tell them to definitely promote me when I met the lieutenant colonel board. But the senior rater wanted to talk to everybody who was like a contender, everybody who had a good enough record of performance, and had shown the potential to serve in the grade as lieutenant colonel, blah blah blah, all those things. He wanted to meet with everyone before we left, and so after the MLR. And so when I met with him, this is what I will never forget about that meeting. He tells me, he's like, Kim, you have an excellent record. Everyone believes that you should be a lieutenant colonel and that you will be, but you did not get a DP. And the reason why is you're an ACC. ACC is Air Combat Command, which is exactly what it sounds. Airplanes, fighters, air specific. 13 Sierra, space officer, not necessarily the brand of that command. And he tells me we're having trouble keeping air battle managers. So in an effort to keep the air battle managers that we have, these are like C2 command and control aircraft commanders, people who fly the C-2 planes or people who man the C-2 planes. We had to focus our definite promotes on them, just so that we could keep the numbers up of that type of yada yada yada. So all I heard was, you're good enough, but we don't need space officers, we need air crew. So yeah, you'll be all right. We had to make sure that we took care of those people. And so in my mind, I was like, oh, okay. I didn't have any expectation that I would get promoted, even though all these people were telling me, oh yeah, you're definitely going to get promoted. You have a record of performance, you're this, you're that, yada, yada, yada. I didn't think I was going to get it. So to my surprise, which one should I use? Should I use my Edam or should I use my Korean lip gloss? The Korean one. So to my surprise, when I get to Langley, so it's this color, but it doesn't really come that red. 2 months of being there, I get selected for lieutenant colonel, and I realized that I'm about to be promoted. I'm a major, sitting in a major position, and I'm about to be promoted to lieutenant colonel basically a year after I find out. Which, my next promotion, I don't know if I shared this, but my promotion to major took like, I don't know, forever. And then my promotion to colonel also took forever. But anyway, that's a whole nother story, which we'll get to it when we get to that base. So I'm told, you know, congratulations, we're still going to keep you in this position. There's no development plan. There's no, hey, this is what you should do, yada, 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 none of that. It's just like, oh, you're going to be a lieutenant colonel sitting in a major's billet. Now, am I upset? Not really. But I do see the things that are happening around me for others, and I take note. So I pin on lieutenant, so my lieutenant colonel promotion was amazing. First of all, for me, I thought it was going to be my last promotion ever. I really went all out. I had my friend Deneen Lang planned it all. I gave her, I think it was a 5K budget, and we had it at this beautiful place called the Pinery. I had like a slideshow. I had a speech. Jasmine had a speech. I talked about my career from Airman Basic to Lieutenant Colonel. I invited all these people. We had all this food. It was amazing. It was such a beautiful promotion for me, because I honestly, A, thought that it was going to be my last one, and B, it was such a significant moment for someone who has been around the military their entire life. My mom served for 20 years. I was a military brat. Also, to have my daughter grow up in this, seeing the life that I was able to give her that was so much further than the life that I had. I don't want to say better. My mom did the best she could, but I was able to do so much more than she was able to. And so it was very meaningful to me. And so after that, I didn't get so my promotion was great. Fantastic. There was no talk or discussion of, hey, how do we develop this person? She's got a great career. Now, mind you, all of my peers, because like I said, I was 28, 29 when I became a second lieutenant. And so all of my peers were much younger than me and had kids much younger than me, and were married, and I was divorced and all this kind of stuff, yada, 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 boo, boo, boo. So the discussions that were being had did not include me. Because A, I wasn't married, B, I'm not a white man, and C, I'm much older. Like, I am the age of the senior leaders, the commanders. I'm not the age of the typical folks that are in my year group. So anyway, I decide, you know what? I'm gonna go on a deployment. Sure. Why not go on a deployment to, further my experience and to try to just do something cool. Because again, being close to the space folks was not necessarily a big dream or a goal of mine. It wasn't something that I was like, ooh, I need to be next to these space folks. I'm trying to be next to space. Never my thing. Jasmine's out of the house. Why not do a deployment? I can take it off, can take the requirement off of somebody who is in the same grade that I am, but has a young family or a new family. I'm like, why not? So I go to Poland, and I I go through training, a really cool deployment, and I wound up going to Afghanistan. I was in Afghanistan for how many months? 8 months, 7 months or so. Terrible deployment. It was a lieutenant colonel position, so I was doing work that was more commensurate with my grade at the time, and it was cool. But when I came back, the deployment is a whole nother thing. I might just do a series on each of the deployments because the things that happened, wild. It was a NATO deployment, if that gives you any indication. And if you know what NATO is, it was wild. But anyway, so I get back and I am no longer in testing. I am now in Building 1, the dreaded Building 1. And again, because my records were so good, my record of performance was so good, and my deployment went really well. I came out of the deployment with a few decorations and stuff. I mean, we all get decorations, like the typical decorations from a deployment, but I got a couple extra ones, but it's whatever. So because of all that, I am in the running to be a commander. And so they nominate me for command, and long story short, I get selected for command, and I leave Colorado after being there for 3 years, 1 year in Afotech, about 8-9 months deployed, and then less than a year in Building 1, and then I go to my only command tour for recruiting command in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. I become the squadron commander for 318th Recruiting Squadron. And that will be my next video, which I will be shooting from my empty apartment as I'm waiting for my furniture to be delivered. But yeah, that's what's going on with me, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.